About 500 kilometres north of Sydney in New South Wales lies a town called Baraba. This town was once home to workers who worked 20 kilometres away at an asbestos mine called Woods Reef Mine. After the closure of the mine in 1983, 25 million tonnes of asbestos tailings was left behind. Water now fills the mine pits, which can be seen from Google Earth satellites. Standing on top of the tailings looks like you're on the moon. The mining here started in 1919 for white asbestos, also called chrysotile, the most commonly found type. But it wasn't until 1970 to 1983 when the company Chrysotile Corporation of Australia began large-scale mining here for white asbestos. The white asbestos was processed in an 8-storey mill house. The mine ore from the pits were taken using trucks to the mill where it was separated to get the asbestos. This is one of the processing floors of the mill. It was packed into bags. Take a look around the mill and the two men wearing no mask. The bags were then loaded onto pallets. The entrance to the mines was a road called the Mine Road, which was closed in 2011. Before then it was accessible to the public and took you right through the middle of the dumped asbestos tailings. This Google image shows the road open in 2008. In 2018, 2,100 metres of new fencing was installed around the mine pit and along the road that goes along this mine pit, which is called Woods Reef Road. The mill was demolished in 2015 by the government using explosives which sent a massive cloud of asbestos fibres in the air. They released cam footage of the mill being demolished but skipped 5 minutes because of, you guessed it, the cloud of asbestos fibres. There's a handful of residents that live very close to the mine. The machines and the mill are buried on site and sealed off. As of today, the asbestos tailings still sit. The pit's still open and the road called Woods Reef Road that goes right past the pit's still accessible to the public, but with many warning signs along the way about the risks. I tried to find information about whether anyone got any diseases or died from working at the mills like the town Wittenoom, but I couldn't find anything. The same can't be said about a mining town 350 kilometres away though. Bayugal is a town located in New South Wales. It's home to a small Aboriginal community. Mining white asbestos here started from 1953 to 1979. Around 350 people were employed there over the 26 years. The company James Hardie, who operated the mines until 1976, employed mostly Aboriginal people. The tailings were taken away on trucks by the miners to Bayugal village, which is known by locals as the Square. It has a school, Bayugal Public School. They used the tailings to patch up the school playground, and when the tailings were dumped, the kids would go and play in it like sand pits, having no idea that these fibres caused death. The council used it to patch up the main roads, especially after rain, because it's an area known to have lots of rainfall many times per year. Most of the roads around the area were dirt tracks. All you need to do is look at this photo and you understand the suffering and the lack of care taken towards this community. Behind these kids are asbestos tailings. Miners describe inside the mills as having a dense cloud of asbestos dust, even sometimes unable to see through the thick dust to the other workers. Nobody wore any safety gear, and when they finished their shift, they'd wash off the asbestos fibres using the nearby creek. These workers were also underpaid and stayed on the company property, being provided with no housing and instead had to make their own homes using whatever they can use. Measures were taken to control the dust inside the mill, which cost around $80,000, but James Hardie didn't pay. There's a 2-part movie called Devil's Dust, which I haven't seen, but it's about the condition of these mills. Just in this clip you can see the cloud of asbestos fibres everywhere. The company barely made any profit during the 26 years of operation, but still continued to run because it offered full-time jobs to the Aboriginal community. In 1976, James Hardie sold the mines to the Woods Reef Mining Company. Then 3 years later, in 1979, the mine shut down. It was buried, fenced off and forgotten about. Over 40 years later, Floyd Laurie was diagnosed with mesothelioma. He's the first child to have died from this community from an asbestos-related disease. You can see Floyd there as a young boy sitting on the pipes made from asbestos. This is him in 2009, not aware that in just a few years he'll develop a life-threatening cancer. This is him in 2016 given an interview about being diagnosed with mesothelioma. Then this is him shortly before he died at just age 55. He wasn't a smoker, never worked at the mines, but still managed to contract an asbestos-related disease, not knowing that playing in the asbestos tailings was a death sentence. While James Hardy knew very well these fibres kill, he's one of the many in this community who has so far died. Imagine being diagnosed knowing you're going to die soon, but you don't know when. But the company you worked for knew very well that your life could be at risk.